welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor and today we're doing the beginning of the year book tag. But before I open the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. So this was a tag that was started by Larry Reeds a few years ago, and while I think everyone kind of has put their own spin on their questions, these are the questions that I saw that I did last year, so these are the questions that I'm going to go through this year, which amounts to 23 questions. So we've got a lot to go through, discussing new releases, physical TBR, things you want to try, so on and so forth. I will let you know I am deciding to film this on a Thursday after work, which means it's about it says 5:11 here. So lighting and vibes may be low because I decided that since the office has not been organized since I don't know when the last time the office was organized. I've spent the whole week, me and my student workers, going forth and cleaning the office. So that's been what I've been doing all week. It's been an interesting week, and the South itself, well, basically the East Coast of America, is about to enter a deep freeze. But I guess without further ado, let's hop into question 1. So question 1 is, how many books do you plan on reading this year? Listen, I set my goal at 50 books every year. My thought process is, if my 10-year-old self could do it, then my now 25-year-old self, almost 26-year-old self, could do it. 50 is a goal that I know I'm going to reach. I almost always exceeded by 20 books at least a year. And 50 is a number I'm comfortable at. But however many books you think you want to read, or however you want to read, or whether or not you want to set goals, that's a personal thing. And I'm not going to dog someone for reading 1 book or someone for reading 200 books. It really is up to your own personal preferences. Then we have most anticipated releases of 2026. So I have 3 written down here. Does this mean some things might change or get added to the list? Yes, and I did do a whole most anticipated reads for 2026 in Bookmas, over a month ago, so you can always follow the link probably up here or somewhere down there to that video. But top of the list, 1 Week to Win a Chocolate Maker by Timothy Janofsky. I do believe this is already released because it was supposed to release in January. This is a queer adult romance following a chocolate making heir and kind of a down on his luck. I'm not sure what the guy does, but someone who's down on his luck who enters the contest to be the heir's next spouse. And then we have I Punch an Alien and Now I'm in Couples Therapy by Kimberly Lemming. We got a sneak peek of this couple from the first book, and I imagine it'll be a fun, silly, goofy, spicy ride, and I'm excited. And then maybe my most anticipated, In Her Own League by Liz Tomforty. You know how much I love the Windy City series, and while this is not a direct link to it, it is a bit of a spin-off or a one-off novel following Monty and Reese. I'm going to be sat and ready to go. Then question 3, a book on your physical TBR you keep putting off. Well, there are lots of books that I keep putting off, and I could pick a multitude of books for this one. But the one I chose is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is an adult dystopian sci-fi that I don't know when it was written, 80s or 90s, but it is very much so a cult classic. Everyone loves it. When they talk about Octavia E. Butler, they talk about this book. I just, frankly, when it comes to dystopian sci-fi, I'm not as drawn to the genre, so that's kind of what's holding me back. Plus, I feel like everyone and their mama has already read this, and I feel like when a book has such a following and such a notoriety to it, it tends to put me off from reading it or scare me off because I don't want to have like a different opinion necessarily from the rest of the crowd. I mean, I do like to bandwagon sometimes, I'm not going to lie. I like things that are popular. So yeah. Maybe you'll see me read this year, maybe you won't, but it will remain in my shelves. A genre that you would like to try more of this year. For me, I put down mystery thrillers. I had a good time with some mystery thrillers last year, and while I don't actively seek them out as much as I think I would like to, I definitely have a few on my radar, particularly in the YA space, just because that's where I got my most inspiration from, or the ones that I like the most. And on the topic of that, question 5 is, what made you want to try this genre? Or what books made you want to try this genre? I have 2, and those books are Thieves' Gambit by Kavion Lewis and The Killing Code by Ellie Marney. Thieves' Gambit is a YA heist novel, the first book in a duology, following Ross Quest, who is the heir to basically a crime heist-pulling family whose mother just got kidnapped, and in order to pay the ransom, she must enter the Thieves' Gambit, a worldwide heist competition, to win an absolute wish. And then we have The Killing Code by Ellie Marney. This is a sapphic historical thriller following Kit Sutherland, who is a codebreaker during World War II, and she teams up with some fellow codebreakers when a slew of government girls end up dying trying to figure out who's the killer behind the spree. So yeah, those are the books that helped, intrigue me into the mystery thriller genre. If you have some favorites, leave them in the comments down below. Question 6, a book you're most likely to reread. Now, I own all of these books. They are right there. However, trying to pull that down is a pain in my butt, so just see the picture on the screen. Heartstopper series. I do plan on doing a whole video rereading Heartstopper because Heartstopper Volume 6, the final volume, comes out this year, as well as the Heartstopper movie to conclude it all, and I am so excited to get into it. Then we have a book you wanted to get into in 2025 but didn't, so it's a priority in 2026. A book that was on my 10 before the end, Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. I know this is an adult romantasy that is very popular amongst the peoples, and I do believe it's a bit of an enemies to lovers situation. Beyond that, I don't know much more. But it was, I had planned on getting into it at the end of last year. It just skirted by me. A series that you plan on reading this year for question 8. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I've seen everyone and their mamas finally finish off Once Upon a Broken Heart the last few years, and I'm a glutton for punishment in that I need to read everything in order. And this just sounds right up my alley. I've been kind of in that fairy tale gothic, sort of vibe, and I think this one will really scratch that itch. Question 9, an author you've never read before but want to try this year. So I have a book from this author, Son of the Morning by Ekweke Emeze. I've heard so many people recommend this author to me, and this is their first romantasy novel, I believe. I think they normally dabble in romance or literary fiction, so I don't really know much about this other than beautiful cover, beautiful sprayed edges, sounds like a grand old time, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were talking about it at the end of last year, so she's on the list. Then we have an author you're probably not going to read more of this year. Now, granted, this is a pretty strong blanket statement, but given my experience with Frida McFadden last year, I'm not intrigued. I might pick up The Housemaid. It depends on my vibes, or I might just watch the movie. I'm not gonna lie. Frida McFadden, she's just not on my radar, and her Christmas book that she put out, no, it was not it. Not it. I read that for a holiday reading vlog, and that was definitely the sour to my Christmas season. Then we have a popular book you want to read this year. So for me, I'm going to say Direbound by Sable Sorensen. I know it's dire wolves. I know there's military. That's about as much as I know. Everyone's been hyping it up, talking about it. You know what? I think I'm in my fantasy bag this season so far, and I'm excited to see what it brings me. Then we have a non-popular book you want to read. For this one, I chose The Last Boyfriend's Guide to Revenge by Matthew Hubbard. This was also my 10 before the end of last year, and I didn't get to it. This one is, this one, as far as I know, is we're teaming up to get revenge on a crusty old boyfriend, and along the way, we start to realize that a lot of shady things are happening, particularly surrounding queer rights in our school and the community that we're in, and then things start to develop from there. I also know I think this is interconnected standalone, but I know that there is a sequel out to this, and plus, I need this beautiful bright cover on my shelves immediately, and it just sounds like a grand old time to me. So for question 14, I originally had written down a different book for this, but I have already finished that book. So in the name of showing new and upcoming stuff, a book you want to read based on the cover, This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. Look at that beautiful cover there. Now, we all know me and vampire stories and vampire romances. They don't always work out. And is this a vampire story? Yes. Is it a vampire romance? Absolutely. But usually the one exception to my vampire dislike or apathy is in queer vampire stories, because Interview with a Vampire? Yes. Although I guess A Dowry with Blood I was kind of on. Oh well, we'll see. I think it's the second to last vampire book that's on my shelves. So I want to make it through it to see if I actually care enough to continue on with the series. Question 15, a book to TV adaptation that you're excited for. I've got a couple. First off, the Heartstopper finale. We know how much I love Heartstopper. I know I'm going to reread it this year, and seeing it come to an end is going to be a bit bittersweet, but I can always go back and rewatch it. But I can't wait to see Nick and Charlie's story in. I don't know what book 6 is going to give us that the Nick and Charlie novella hasn't already, but we'll have to see what Alice puts out. Then, of course, Bridgerton Season 4. When you are seeing this, it should be a week out from Season 4, and I am on my rewatch of Bridgerton. I'm on Season 3, the beginning of Season 3. So we have to pick up the pace if I'm going to finish that in a week with all the things I have planned to do. But Bridgerton Season 4. And I just finished watching the Percy Jackson Season 2 finale, and if you were watching, you would know that they gave us a sneak peek saying that Season 3 of Percy Jackson is coming out later this year. So we're going to go ahead and add that to the list. Then we have something bookish you want to start doing this year. Listen to more audiobooks. I definitely feel like I'm getting more in the mood for audiobooks now that I'm listening to more nonfiction and classics. I'm not sure if I listen to any other stories outside of that. There's just something about those two genres that read well on audiobooks to me. But that is a goal. My first audiobook of the year, I believe, will be The Stonewall Reader. But I'm trying to make it through my January TBR, which, just, I've been slacking on the reading the past week, but I've also been super busy at work. 17, something bookish you want to stop doing this year. Speed reading. I want to try and slow down and enjoy the reading process a little more, because also when I do that, it can kind of lead to some headaches. So I'm just trying to take my time. 18, what is your 2026 bookish goal? Read more, buy less. I am planning out things into the future. I definitely can kind of see some changes happening in my life that I'll talk about more later on. But right now, I want to make sure that the books that I'm bringing in and the books that I am keeping and choosing to read are ones that I want, and trying to save up that money, honey. 2019, a 2026 Booktube goal. I want to be better planned out. I think I'm doing so far so great, but with the exception of the fact that I waited till today to film this video. So that means I'm going to have to edit it on the day that I wanted to get it out. Will it get out on the Friday? Maybe not, but it will be out on Saturday. Then we have a 2026 non-bookish goal. The name of the game for this year is invest in myself. So taking my time and energy and doing the best to build my, career profile, my personal and social and all those lives. That's the name of the game. Also, something that I've recently added on, I want to leave this place better than when I found it. This may be giving a hint as to things that I'm planning out for 2027, but right now, I definitely have a goal to that. And also, I have a Disney trip planned for December, so go to Disney. Question 21. Describe how you want 2026 to go in one word. I have two down here, but I think both of them, growth and change. Just because I feel like I've had a lot of stagnation in my life the past few years, and, with this new job and everything, and with the plans that I'm kind of forming for myself, I can kind of see that, there's a lot of things that I've put off out of fear or just out of, anxiety and stuff like that. And I think I owe it to my younger self and the girl who thrives on making some spontaneous decisions, even though I do plan a lot of things out. I think the name of the game is while I am a teacher, I realize that I prefer learning more than I do teaching. So in the process of learning, you learn best by trying something new, taking the risk, jumping off the deep end. So growth and change. Then we have Booktube creators who inspire you. Well, you'll see on the screen a few select Booktube creators. Ones that I've been watching a lot recently are Belle Therese, on TikTok, Sarah Read That, Emmy Rossum, I'm sure everyone knows her. She's been, up since I've been in my romantasy mood. She's been on there. Crystal Lang, she has a YouTube channel, but you'll find her on TikTok. So if you're into fantasy, and of course, I feel like everyone has been loving Eden recently, and I am no exception. And then finally, the question of all questions. What would you say to someone who's wanting to start a book talk or booktube account? I think we say it every year, every single one of us. Just do it. There's a lot of technicality to the process, and how you want your account to look like can differ how that process is. If you're just doing it for a fun little hobby, you maybe don't need to invest as much time into the editing and the software and so on and so forth. But if you want to see yourself grow into an actual, maybe feasible money income source, then you may be putting more time into the tools and equipment, the concepts and stuff that you put in there. I'm trying to grow my accounts. However, I also have a full-time job, so some of the editing and, filming processes could differ. I did get a new camera, though, for Christmas that I have yet to mess around with, so you may see camera and quality improve somewhat soon. But don't hold me to that because I don't know when I'm going to get to it. But that was the last question for the beginning of the year book tag. Let me know what you're most excited to see this year. Who are you watching? What are you reading? And I will see y'all in the next one.